forget to say won't harm you.
Hi you guys, how are you? I hope that everybody had a really great holiday and we're looking forward to entering 2015 with high hopes and just enthusiasm and just hoping that it's going to be a great reading year for all of us, as well as just generally a good year in our lives. Now in this video I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of my reading in 2014. I wanted to do a little bit of a reading review and discuss just my reading patterns and what I read and how I read this past year, or really it's not even past yet, but this year. 2014 was probably one of the best reading years I have ever had. I read 215 books in 2014. That is probably the most I've ever read in my entire life. Now I think that that accounts for quite a number of things. First of all, I'm a very fast reader. I read very quickly. I can probably read about 100 pages in 45 minutes to an hour, and I did most of my reading this year on my Kindle, which is something else I want to talk about. And on my Kindle I actually read faster. I would say on my Kindle I probably read about 140 pages every hour or so. So I'm not quite sure what it is about the Kindle device that just makes me read so much faster, but I have noticed that lately because I have been reading more actual physical books, and I've just noticed that it's been going a little bit slower than usual. But I would attribute just the sheer amount of reading I did this year to several things. First of all, I moved this year. I moved back in with my parents, and after living on my own for over 8 years and just being on the go in New York, moving back home was a complete change of pace. You know, I slowed down a lot, and as a lot of you know, if you've been following me since my NaNoWriMo journey in November, I moved to work on my writing career. I'm trying to become a published author, and I just needed a slower paced atmosphere and more time and allowance to write. I also needed to be in an environment where money wasn't a driving factor. In New York, money was very much a driving factor, and I was just kind of trying to hustle to pay my bills, and I didn't have a lot of time left over for creative things. So moving back home allows me the opportunity to really focus more on what I want to do with my life as opposed to just trying to get by and trying to survive. So I just had way more time in New York. I was so busy, I was so on the go. That brings me to my next point is I actually started working from home, which I've never done before, and it just gives you so much time, and you're always at home, and I'm surrounded by books in my house, so it just became a second hobby. And you know, the third thing is this was probably the most independent and solitary year of my life. I moved away from everyone I knew, all of my friends, my roommate who was my best friend, and I just sort of moved back to a place that I haven't lived in since I was 18 years old in high school. And there are not a lot of people that I know here anymore, and the few friends that 2014 favorite books video, which is coming up soon. So be on the lookout for that. I will be filming that tomorrow, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about all of my favorite books and series that I read this year, and really give you guys some really cool recommendations. Because like I said, I read a lot of independent authors, a lot of books that were independently published that are good, you guys, and inexpensive. And if you have access to an e-reader, or even if you don't mind reading on your phone, you can definitely read some of these. Also, so contemporary. I read so much contemporary this year, and mostly new adult. I discovered the new adult genre in 2011, which is when it kind of really started. And it actually really started with independent authors and self-published authors. It exploded on Amazon, and I feel like I've been really enjoying it. You know, I discovered a lot of cool authors that now have publishing deals with big publishing houses, and authors that you guys love, like Colleen Hoover and oh gosh, what's her name? Who wrote Jamie McGuire. Jamie McGuire, who wrote Beautiful Disaster. Yes. Oh my gosh. Wow. What a brain fart. But anyways, so a lot of authors I discovered, and I'm still loving, and discovered a lot of new authors this year, which is so exciting. And yeah, this was definitely the year of new adult, and contemporary new adult at that. However, I do feel as though I have exhausted the genre a bit. I will definitely be reading way less new adult books in 2015. Guys, I read so much new adult this year that I need a break. I need a break from that genre. But I did thoroughly enjoy it, and that genre will definitely be heavily prevalent in my 2014 favorite books video. So once again, be on the lookout for that. Now, I did talk a little bit more specifically about, you know, reading goals that I have for next year, and I did that in my bookish resolutions video, which I will link below, so you guys can go definitely check that out if you're interested. But just in a more general sense, I think that I will probably read less in 2015. I mean, 215 books is kind of hard to beat, you guys. It's hard to top. That's roughly, mathematically, about 4 books a week. And, you know, I have so much free time, and I read very quickly, as I said before, and I was reading on my Kindle, which enables me to read even faster. So all of that contributed to that extremely large amount of books that I've read. But at the same time, I just don't foresee that happening again, and I don't foresee me exceeding that anytime soon in the near future. 2015 looks like it's going to be a bit busier, and just a busier year for me. I am going to be transitioning to working outside of my home, so I will no longer be working from home, so I will have less free time. And I think I just want to focus more on the quality of what I'm reading, and instead of just like slawing through all of these new independently published authors and trying to find the gems, I am focusing more on reading specific genres and reading more diversely, and just kind of reading different things next year. And I'm focusing more on reading more traditionally published novels next year. And yeah, I'm branching out. I'm branching out from new adult. I'm branching out from independent and self-published authors. So I think that I'm going to put my Goodreads reading goal at 50 books, and I think that's quite doable. No matter how busy I get, I think that can be achieved easily. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited for 2015, and just the direction I want to take my reading in. So in conclusion, I would say that I really, really enjoyed my reading year this year. It was unique, it was different. I feel as though this is the type of reading year that will never come again in my lifetime. I had so much free time. I read such an immense amount of books, discovered so many new authors, really became familiar with the self-published world and new self and, you know, independent published authors, really supported their work, which I really am proud of that, and happy that I got to support them and discover So I really enjoyed my reading year this year. I feel like it was very unique, and I'm going to miss it, but I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for 2015, and I'm excited to share with you guys what I'll be reading and all that jazz. I mean, I think it's really good to reflect, and wow, what a year, what a reading year, and wow, that's crazy. 215, that is crazy. Oh my gosh. If you're curious, it's not really documented on my Goodreads, although I will leave a link to my Goodreads below. I recently just got Goodreads, basically after starting my channel in November. So, but I did document, how many books I was reading through Amazon, because like I said, I was reading on my Kindle, and every single book that I bought and read is documented in my Amazon account, in my Amazon settings. And then on my Kindle, once I finish reading a book, I put it in a I put it in a section. I put it in a section that I have created called Books I've Read. So basically, in order to get that 215, I just went through my Kindle and counted